We had to take a quick break. We back. And so you said something interesting that I kind of want to explore. I want you to kind of expound on and explain it further. But if you're looking at the history and studying history and seeing these things, and you're coming to the conclusion that, hey, maybe everything in the Bible is not 100% accurate, and more importantly, I would think more importantly, it wasn't meant to be 100% accurate. It was a history written to a people for a people, and they wrote it the way they wrote it for the significance for the people to get what they're supposed to get from it.
Yeah.
How does that in turn fortify your belief in the Bible? So that's what you said, right? It put more oomph in your belief. How? You know what I'm saying? How do you study history and come to the conclusion that the Bible might not be 100% accurate? How does that improve? How does that increase or fortify your belief in the Bible? Make that make sense?
No, that's a good question.
Great question.
Yeah, that's a real good question. What it
Great question.
Now, what it does is it gives me the understanding that everything is not what it seems, and all because things is not what it seems, does not necessarily means that certain things is not true. So what it does is it really pretty much, make me look at the Bible more so as not more so as a historical book, fully, but more so as a moral book and a cultural book, what I'm saying, for my people, what I'm saying. And then I take that and then I corroborate things that match with history, and I'm able to tell my people, like, look, that may not happen the way that we think, but it happens certain this way, and it's okay, what I'm saying. But this book is really for just our culture and morals, and get us to understand, how we should live according to, the God of that we
Our
chose.
ancestors.
Yeah, what I'm saying. So that it just, it strengthened me that way, what I'm saying, rather than just looking at it like, oh, everything is in here, it's accurate, and it can kind of make you look like you living in a fairy tale world if you just want to take everything, based on what it is, what I'm saying, rather than just be like, okay, some things, may actually be just what it is, what I'm saying. It's meant to tell us a story about Jacob. It's meant to tell us a story about a specific family, because it's not necessarily all the Canaanites that was in Egypt necessarily may not. If we want to say Jacob is real, all the Canaanites that was in Egypt necessarily may not come from the man Jacob. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so let's clarify that. You saying that you throwing the Canaanite, I would say Canaanites, you throwing it around a little too loose for me, right? Because I feel like it might cause some confusion, right? Because when you saying you saying the Canaanites that was in Egypt, you're talking about who we refer to as Israelites.
Yeah.
But so define what you mean when you say Canaanites, because we talked about this earlier, but for the audience. What do you mean Canaanites? The Canaanites that, like, when why are you referring to the children of Israel as Canaanites?
Okay. Now historically, that's exactly what the Israelites are. They were Canaanite subgroups of people, what I'm saying, who came together and was like, you know what, we're going to create our own society, which they eventually, started calling themselves Israel, and the name El is a Canaanite god. They started to call themselves Israel.
Well, see, now you starting to get on my nerves now. Now, see, you're doing good. Because now I can see, because this kind of stuff I have to deal with on Facebook. Now you just gave them all the fuel they need.
Nah, I mean, see,
you know what I'm saying?
See, they'll take it and be like, oh, but they not taking it the right way to understand.
Well,
Okay,
fix it then. Make it right. Do that, because you know what I'm saying. Because I'm telling you right now, when they watch this, they gonna cut the video off right there. That's all they needed to hear. So you fix this.
Okay. Now, I want to say this, because this is something I had
Okay.
I had put this down, and I never knew that we was gonna be actually
going into this,
discussing this.
I might edit it out. Don't worry about it. If you can't fix it, and I can't fix it. It might not make the cutting flow.
You said it might not make the cutting flow.
Yeah, it might not make the cut, man. So
Nah.
no,
But okay, so history in itself let me get this real quick, but I don't want to.
Well, while you doing that, let me
Yeah,
say
yeah,
this,
yeah.
man. Let me say this, man. If you guys are taking anything from this conversation, if you like this conversation, you appreciate it, you feel like it's something you can share with somebody else, man. Like, share, and subscribe, right? Like the page because it helped the algorithm, right? Subscribe if you have not subscribed. Make sure you go into your notifications, hit that little bell, and put it on all because a lot of times you won't get the notifications. And then and put comments, man. Comments, like them comments really, really drive the algorithm as well. And uh, I'm doing, I don't respond immediately all the time. Sometimes I do, depend on what's going on, but I do try to go get those comments, read them, and I do respond. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes not in a timely manner, but I do. But I would appreciate it. I would appreciate it because a lot of people message me personally, you know, or I might get some emails, but then I'm like, hey, everything you just told me that you enjoyed about the show, put it in the comments because I need that, man. So yeah, if you get anything out of this, man, you think it's worth it for anything, if you just want to support it, man, like, share, and comment, man, subscribe, and then don't forget, man, you can also help support this movement, help me, push this information out, get this information out by purchasing these shirts, man. I got a website, www.webig.shop. SHOP, www.webig.shop. And you can get Prayers Association shirt, you know what I'm saying? Right there, we got the shirt. My Bible is rated R for read. You know what I'm saying? That's not the whole thing on the shirt. But you go to the website, man, check it out. Don't forget at the top, it got the codes for the discounts. Depending on if you're a first time, whatever, you get 15%, 10%, 5%. And yeah, man, support what we got going on, man. And this is another way for you to represent your faith bold. You know what I'm saying? That's the big thing. That's the move, right? Bold faith, man. Because listen, even though we not, we kind of talking about things that we might not necessarily agree on. However, one thing I do see is the time that we in right now, man. Unbelievers are getting bolder and bolder and bolder. For sure.
They
You know what I'm saying?
getting
Like, I'm talking about openly doing witchcraft.
Yeah.
Openly, committing abominations. Not just sin, but abominations against man and against the Most High. And, the believers in a lot of ways getting quieter and quieter, getting lesser and lesser and quieter and quieter. And it's time to be bold, man. It's time to stand up, be bold, and represent, man, and push back and be a light and a beacon, man. So bold faith, man. Look at that Psalm 73:3. Now you can't necessarily buy this shirt, but this is a custom shirt. So I do, we do custom shirts. So if you got some ideas or something or whatever, you can write it to me, and I can customize your shirt, and I'll send it back, and we'll get it together so you get exactly what you want. But envy not the ways of the wicked.
Yeah.
So let's be bold, man. Bold faith, man. Represent, man. So anyway, you found what you're looking for?
Yeah, very cool shirt. You know what I'm saying? So Bible history versus critical historical method, because there's a method to this. You know what I'm saying? I don't want people to think that I'm, turning down the Bible, because I'm not. Anybody that know me know that that's not true. Now, the Bible and critical history are not the same type of work. Okay,
Biblical history versus
biblical, the Bible and critical history. So
Okay.
Bible history and critical history are not the same type of work. They serve two different purposes. You know what I'm saying? But the Bible provides a meaning of identity and theological interpretation. Critical history provides evidence based on reconstructions of the past. You know what I'm saying? Understanding both allows for a deeper and more informed view of ancient history. All right. So when you put two together, now you get a better picture of ancient history. All right. So now, with that being said, it's okay, you know what I'm saying, to understand that the Bible has its own purpose. Okay.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And then you got history has its own purpose. All right.
History. No, you lost me. I don't think history.
Critical.
History don't have no purpose.
Nah, history does have a purpose, which is to reconstruct the past. Okay, history has a purpose. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's what history is—a reconstruction of the past.
That's what it is. That's its
it's not.
purpose.
I'm saying when I'm saying I'm being overly critical when I'm saying history don't do nothing. History like science. Science don't say nothing. Scientists say this. History don't have a purpose. Historians might have a purpose. You know what I'm saying? But history is just history. It just is what it is.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, one thing about history, if we find something, we can't argue what we found. You know what I'm saying?
Right. What you said, right? And I hear my tongue on it, but I want to say this for the record, right? You said like you got the critical, what is it, critical?
Well, just history, just
Yeah,
history.
yeah, all right,
Yeah,
right. And so and that's kind of like, it just kind of reconstructs what they found based on the evidence. And then you have biblical history, and when you combine it, you get the full story. And now I agree with it 100%. My thing is, if I'm going to combine them, I'm going to combine them from a biblical narrative. So that's why. So and that's kind of what I'm doing. Every time you go into history, I'm seeing how this lines up with the scriptures. Even
I can dig
even
it.
though it don't say the same, because history is not gonna have the details.
Yeah.
So you got the history be like the skeleton,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at the Bible like the flesh. That's how I'm seeing it.
I mean, what is biblical history?
What we read in the Bible that happened in the past.
Yeah, biblical history refers to narratives found in the Bible.
Right.
These texts include stories
Yeah.
and creations about the patriarchs, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. So it's combined with history, theology, and storytelling. And it focuses on meaning and purpose in a divine interaction.
Storytelling.
Yeah,
You mean,
it's storytelling in there, and often it's written to explain why events happen, not just what happened,
Right,
but
right,
why
right.
they say this has happened based on their theological, point of view.
Yeah.
All right. So now, critical history is the modern day academic approach used by historians, and this is go for you don't have to be a scholar to do this type of research. You're just coming at it from a standpoint that you're trying to approach it with just history. So approach things.
But the problem I have with this is the same problem I have with science, right? I agree with science, right? But the scripture says, 1 Timothy 6:21, beware of science falsely so called. Beware of false signs of false knowledge. Science means knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And so science don't disprove the Bible. Science, there's nothing in science that tries to disprove the Bible.
Yeah.
Scientists will try to use science to disprove the Bible, right? And it's like you have many scientists that use science to prove the Bible. And the same thing with history. History is just the collection of things that happened in the past. They don't necessarily tell a story or whatever. It's the person that's interpreting the history is the issue. So with science and history, we can look at the same historical evidence and build two different narratives based on our interpretation of that same evidence. You know what I'm saying? So that's my issues. Like if I'm looking at the evidence, I'm always going to interpret it through a biblical lens. And then another person might look at it and they might interpret it from a neutral lens. And then you got another person who may come in and try to interpret it specifically to disprove the Bible. And then we as an individual, when I look at this history, I have to go and research the individual that's presenting this history and see what their disposition is. In order to say if I want to trust their interpretation of the historical evidence.
Well, the thing, I got what you're saying, but the thing is with that, like, if not all, of our biblical history that we have is coming later than history than things that we're finding, from the earth. So it's coming. So since with that being said, then we can't, and I'm just saying, just me, like I can't, read the Bible and know that this story, comes later after something that's actually was tangible there. You know what I'm saying?
Why not?
And because then I'm being biased. Because then I'm going to take just the biblical narrative, and then I'm going to override my biblical narrative with, over this.
Are you gonna override the evidence with biblical narrative? Yeah, like what I do. That's what
I'm gonna be biased.
That's what I do.
Saying?
I'm biased. No.
Hey,
And I'm okay with that. Yeah,
you know what
and
I'm
I'm okay with that. I'm 100% biased. Hey, listen, that's how I see it. But I mean, can a person really truly be non-biased? Maybe.
If you balance, you can balance the two.
It could be, right? But then, like I said, I'm still left to when I have to Research the individual that's presenting this information and determine whether or not they're biased or what their bias is.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't so much, and this is what most biblical believers do. They will attack the historian or the person that's why it's important for us to not just depend on one historical
Right.
information, on multiple, you know what I'm saying, and then look at the multiplicity of these history information and then take what's there and then decipher it, you know what I'm saying, use it, and do that with the Bible.
And so this going back to what I was saying before, because what I run into a lot of time is you find certain views being promoted and other views being suppressed.
Yeah,
So a
that's
lot
true.
of time, and it happens. I see it more so in science than anything else, right?
Yeah.
But I'm starting to see it more and more with modern scholars. You know what I'm saying? They tend to promote the scholarly perspective that would undermine or disagree with the Bible. They tend to promote that and put that at the top of the list. That's what you're gonna find on the first couple of pages of Google. But then you go to the 19th page, then you'll find the historians and the scholars that are saying, well, no, this actually is this proves this agrees with the Bible in that way. So I do think there's an agenda to it's not neutral. Like if I could go with what you're saying if it was neutral.
But
If the information was just neutral.
it is because the information
Well,
out
the
there,
information is neutral,
yeah.
but the interpretation of it is
Exactly.
not.
And I'm saying I wouldn't get too bent off what certain historians are interpreting. You know what I'm saying? That's why you should look at these different her historians interpreting these things and be like, all right, now let me further do my research and then be like, okay, all right, boom. Now I get what these historians is saying, and I get what the biblical narrative is saying. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm be like, okay, now how can I reconcile the two to make it make sense? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Without
yeah.
me being biased. You know what I'm saying? Based off,
I can't do
what
it.
believe.
And you laughing? I'm dead serious. I can't not be biased when it comes to the scripture, bro. Like I'm sold. I'm sold on it. I'm 100%
I mean,
sold
and
on.
that's
Like, and not to say that I can't change my perspective on certain things. But I don't know what it would take for me to not believe the scriptures.
I mean, it's not well, and I get what you're saying. It's not that you don't not. It's not when you go in this direction. It's not that you're not believing in the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? That's not the thing. It's what it is now. Now you're getting to understand the scriptures more in a real face value historical way. So now you're like, oh, okay, now like that will really happen. You like, okay, that was so all that extra stuff when it comes to Jacob wrestling with an angel, you know what I'm saying? That may not happen,
Yeah,
but we know that Israel became it was a nation around certain, you know what I'm saying?
So what I'm hearing, what I'm getting from you is that, and it's kind of going back to the question, right? How does this information fortify your faith? And I think, and maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but what I'm saying is that basically you're just saying when you start doing the research outside the Bible and you find evidence, whether it lines up perfectly with the scriptures or not, the one big takeaway is that it did happen.
Exactly.
Right. So like the evidence might say, well, there was never no person named Joseph that exists. According to there's no historical evidence that say a person named Joseph ever existed. And you're like, okay, maybe Joseph didn't exist. But what the evidence does show is that there was a mass exodus, or there was this happened, or there was this. There was a famine, like the Bible said. There was this, like the Bible said. Like the individuals might not be able to be proven, or the details of these stories might not be able to be proven historically, but the point is there. Like the events nonetheless happen, and these events show that the point of the Bible is very much relevant and real.
Yeah.
Is that an accurate?
Yeah, I mean, because like you say, you mentioned these events because these events that's recorded in the
Yeah.
Bible, these events can be corroborated in other extra biblical history. You know, what I'm saying history that's outside of the Bible. So that let me know, okay, that these events like the flood, okay, these events like we talking about a famine in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Like we mentioned about, these Semitic, people leaving Egypt, you know what I'm saying, going back to the land of Canaan and establishing their own, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
society. So we can see that these events happen, you know what I'm saying, but the stories that was placed in between these things, you know what I'm saying, necessarily may not actually be historical accurate, you know what I'm saying. So and then that's when we as Bible believers, we tend to be like, oh, no, if the Exodus ain't happened the way that the book of Genesis and Exodus say that it happened, then then that's a lie. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that the Bible is that these events is a lie, you know what I'm saying, or saying that these stories in itself is a lie. It's just that we're trying to get the actual what actually happened. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with seeking out to what actually happened, because then that would make, because some of these atheists or some of these people who may be, non-Bible believers and things like that, some of their arguments hold some validity, you know what I'm saying? But if you're able to comprehend what they're saying based off history and based off the Bible narrative, then you able to level them out, you know what I'm saying? And be like, look, you have a point about that, but in history we do see that this happened,
Right.
okay? And the Bible records this happening. You know what I'm saying? So does that make the Bible false? No. But does it make it 100% accurate? No. You know what
Okay,
I'm saying?
that's where I was about to go. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, because I'm like, how do you respond if you say that the Bible's not 100% accurate? Then how can an all-knowing, all-powerful God give inaccurate details to events?
Then was something I was saying earlier. Like, we gotta learn to separate the stories from actual history. You know what I'm saying? That's what's quoted in the Bible.
Okay, agreed. But this is where I'm at with that. Like I'm saying, I'm listening to you, and the whole time I'm saying, listen, yeah, the history, the evidence is the skeleton. The Bible is the meat. So I'm saying, in other words, what we read in the Bible is what actually happened. What we can prove historically and scientifically is just like it's just that it's just proving that the Bible is true. Like you're not gonna go into history and archaeology and I don't know whatever other sciences they use.
Yeah.
You're not gonna go in there and get the full story. You're just not.
Nah,
You're
but
not.
but
So the Bible gives
yeah.
you the full story. These things are like, you know what I'm saying. It's like the Bible's giving you a picture of somebody who live.
Well, I
But
wouldn't say.
well,
Yeah.
let me make and see if this
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying so the Bible might be giving you a picture of this person. You can see how they look and all this other stuff, and then the science and the history is showing you the bones. We digging up the bones, saying, "Listen, this is the bones of this individual." So if you found the bones, if you just find the bones not gonna tell you if that person was fat or skinny. They might give you an indication, but they don't tell you that. It's not gonna tell you if they what kind of haircut they wore. You know what I'm saying? The bones are not gonna tell you if they had cataracts or not. You know what I'm saying? It's very limited information you're gonna get from the bones, right? And so it seems like to me you're saying, well, the bones is real. I can touch the bones. I can hold the bones. I know these bones are real. I know this person really existed. Now, if they look like that picture, I don't know. I don't know if that. I don't know if they look like that picture or not. That might be. I don't know. That could be embellished or whatever. That could be all. You know what I'm saying? But I do know for a fact the bones real. That person really existed. And I can understand that. I'm just saying. I believe that picture 100%. And them bones right there prove that person really existed. You know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
I
That's just where I'm at.
mean,
Yeah.
now, okay, what you saying is right. I see what you're saying. Now, the thing is with that is like one of the best books we can have is the book of the earth. Okay, what comes out of the earth. Now reason why I say that is because it can give you a more, especially in the days times that we're in with the technology we have, it can give you a kind of a little more accurate, synopsis. You know what I'm saying? Now the Bible, what it does, it kind of fills in some blanks. You know what I'm saying? That's not
Yeah, yeah.
that we can't see. Now with that, we still have to be like, all right, now, because they're given, the Bible is given their narrative of the filling in the blanks.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
And that can be, subjective. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
It could be. I just don't think it is. I think it's accurate.
I
I
mean,
think it's. You know what I'm saying? It
I
could
mean,
until I have a reason not to believe the Bible. Like you
I
see what I'm
mean,
saying? Like I'm gonna
yeah.
believe it until I have a solid reason not to. You know what I'm
I mean,
saying?
I got you, but
But I wanna
yeah.
I wanna really want to see get your opinion and your perspective on this question or this idea that if the Bible is not 100% accurate with every tiny minute detail, then does that mean God didn't influence it? It wasn't God's influence or words that we're reading. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not
Yeah.
because how could God get any details wrong? Why if God gave us the Bible and God inspired it, he spoke it and somebody else wrote it. However, you know what I'm saying? People want to. I don't want to spend time.
Yeah.
I don't, because I know,
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying. God, he had certain things written by angels. Certain things was revealed to people and they wrote it down. It's different things. However, it's the same author, right? Same mind that all this information is coming from.
Yeah.
But if the details are wrong on any case, then that would disprove that God had anything to do with the Bible. Because how could God get the details wrong?
Now that's a good question, and most people struggle with understanding that, because I can understand. You would say, the most high, if this is the word of God, then everything in here is supposed to be, perfected.
The all knowing,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
powerful God, he can't get no details
yeah.
wrong.
You know what I'm saying? But that's when we have to understand that that's not the case, though. You know what I'm saying? Because you got
What's
people
not the case?
that God
Got
influenced, like, okay, like the Bible itself was influenced by every righteous person that had a righteous agenda. You know what I'm saying? Some of these things that these authors was doing, they had their agenda. It could have been a political agenda. You know what I'm saying? For the time within Israel, you gotta understand, because this thing's written in there where they speaking against their own people about certain things that's going on.
keep the mic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they speaking against certain things that's going on within Israel. You know what I'm saying? As a political avenue. You know what I'm saying? Then you got certain things where they speaking, it's things in there that has moralities, you know what I'm saying, there. You know what I'm saying? Then you got things in there that may have things based off, okay, this specific author, may had not liked this specific king because they did certain things, you know what I'm saying? So they writing about this king in a negative way. But then when we go into history, that because of that king gives the most evidence of the existence of Israel. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So we have to understand that we got to separate what's political and what's theological to what's actually, maybe actually given by God, like things like certain things from the prophets, you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Because
so
those separate in certain stories, like those things is really separate.
okay, so to understand what you're saying, because I thought you was about to say something that's gonna trigger me. I thought you was about to say that the pen and the scribe is in vain, and then we was gonna fall out.
But I
We
mean,
got
that's kind of,
don't do it, don't do it.
I'm an EP
Don't
now,
don't
like, just like
don't do it.
that.
'Cause see, then I'm gonna have a
Yeah.
flashback. No, so now y'all he's hit me with that. The pen and scribes in vain, everything. Like, come on, man. But anyway, but I like what you're saying here, right? So I'm still of the mind that the Bible was given by inspiration of the Most High.
Mhm.
But to your point, right, there's a lot of history, like the Book of Kings. It's just recording what took place in the history of Israel and the kings, right? The Book of Chronicles is basically another version of the same events, the same set of events. And there's certain books of records that we don't have. I forget that's meant like this book, and it's like another record. I think the Book of Wars,
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and these were just historical records that Israel kept, right? And then and they were put in the Bible because once again, I think everything in the Bible is relevant and significant to the Messiah. So all these records are necessary to prove these people who they
Mm-hmm.
are and how it led up to the Messiah, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't necessarily need divine revelation
Mm-hmm.
to have the history of the kings,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly.
So everything in the Bible should not be expected to be 100% accurate because God inspired or God gave it, because some of it was just history.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it, like the law,
Mm-hmm.
I believe was given by the Most High God,
Mm-hmm.
and it's flawless. You know what I'm saying? And no,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody finds contradictions in the law. Nobody, but the contradictions
Mm-hmm.
always, like, when it comes to some historical record. Well, here it says he was 3. Here it says he was 9,
Mm-hmm.
or stuff like that. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And to your point, it's like, okay, this is a historical record, and it might be inaccurate on the age, but we still know this person was a king, which is the
Mm-hmm.
point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought is, any kind of issues that you find in the Bible is not with the information per se. It's more so an issue of translation,
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature. Because we talking about oral tradition
Mm-hmm.
that was passed on for hundreds,
Mm-hmm.
if not thousands of years, written down. Um, some of it, not all of it, right? But
Yeah.
some was written down after a lot of years, and then it was burned, destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
and then according to Second Ezra, there was a revelation given to Ezra and for the men to rewrite the
Mm-hmm.
scriptures over, a matter of days, to rewrite all those records,
Mm-hmm.
and then those records were then preserved and eventually translated to Greek, Latin,
Mm-hmm.
and then to other languages, to and then eventually to English.
Yeah.
So in translation, you can expect some things to be thrown, a little
Well,
off. But
yeah.
then, to me, that even speaks to the power. That's not the word I want to say, but that speaks to the the well, I say divine. It speaks to, it's something special and unique
Mm-hmm.
about the Bible, and the fact that through all that,
Mm-hmm.
through the oral traditions, the writing down, the destruction of the temple and the Torah, to being rewritten, to being passed down, always preserved to the time of Christ, and then being translated into all the different languages, and having now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still accurate, because when you look at the oldest records, they're pretty much the same as the records we have today. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that accuracy has been greatly preserved. And so when people start talking about this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, when you look up the oldest written form that we can find,
Mm-hmm.
you see the same things.
But
It's,
that's the furthest we can go back with certain things. A lot of things may only go back to, the
I
fifth,
mean,
sixth
we
century
we only have.
BC.
I mean, we gonna go what we got.
Yeah. So with that being said, we have to understand that if we can't, things have an agenda. Okay. Even
I mean,
even
that's an
even
interesting point you
even.
made. You said some of the people who's writing these things had an agenda, right? They didn't like this king, so they wrote about him in a certain kind of way.
Mm-hmm. So
But
yeah.
that doesn't. I think that doesn't speak to the accuracy or inaccuracy of the scripture, right? It just speaks to the humanity of it. Like
And if it's humanity, then it can
to,
be mistakes, and it can be people who have their own,
blank.
insight of
Uh,
things and stuff like that, who want certain things to be pushed based off what they're, pushing, what their agenda is. You scribes pushing agenda, priests pushing certain agendas. You know
I,
what I'm saying?
I can agree with that, but I don't see that. I don't see an agenda being
Mm-hmm.
pushed in the scriptures, because
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and I'm not saying it's not
Yeah.
there. I just don't see it,
Mm-hmm.
because it makes me think about a point that a friend of mine made. He was like, well, we were talking about the whole thing with Sarah and Rebecca, and how old she
Mm-hmm.
was when
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
got married, and
Yeah.
all these different things. He's like, well, do you think that they would hide the fact that
Mm-hmm.
she was 3 years old when
Mm-hmm.
when she married
Mm-hmm.
a 40-year-old Isaac or
Yeah.
Esau? And I'm like, well, first of all, there's nothing in the scripture that says she was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's not in the scripture. That's nothing. There's no historical. That's all um, conjecture, to say
Mm-hmm.
the least, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I said to him, I said, I don't think they would hide the fact they do. Why? Why? Because,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason why I said it is because the Bible records so many things that are uh,
But
so many things that are unappealing.
Yeah, I
Right? So,
mean,
it records the fact that David had this man killed. He set this man up to kill to sleep with his wife.
but then you do get okay. You got the.
And how Aaron was a coward.
You making a very good point, but you gotta remember this because you in the same book that you talking about.
With David or
Both of the Aaron and
yeah, I
this,
mean
in the same book that you're
Jacob
talking
sleeping with a
about,
hooker, or what he thought was a
it's
hooker.
something else in there that explains why that happened. So it's kind of like some things was
Well,
written
I don't think it explained why it happened. It explained that it happened.
no,
And because a lot of times people take. I don't mean to cut you off, but people
yeah,
take that just because it's there. Like with Jacob. Jacob tried to sleep with a prostitute. Ended up being it was actually his the who was supposed to be his son's daughter. I think his son passed
yeah,
away and nobody wanted to
yeah.
have a baby with her. So, but he tried to sleep, and so people look at that and think that or assume that suggests or implies that it's okay to sleep with a prostitute. And it's like, no, but it's just telling what Jacob did. It's not saying it was okay. It's just saying he did it. It didn't say why he did it.
I mean, it ain't
We can
saying,
assume why he did
we know why he did it
Yeah,
because
well,
it explains.
he had needs.
But it explains, and it kind of give it a like an excuse on like, okay, this is why he did it because she needed to have
But
more children
it don't say why. It don't say why
it
he
kind of
did it. It don't say why he did what he did. It tell you what happened. This is how this happened.
it
How did
explains it.
Jacob's sons? How did we get from Jacob to these 12 sons?
That's what I'm saying.
And it's telling you the story of what happened.
It's explaining certain things to fill in to fill in the blanks to give a narrative about certain things, but not necessarily. Like for example, when it comes to David, in the Book of Kings, you got him killing, somebody to marry, his wife.
Yeah.
And in Chronicles,
Now,
in the same story,
let's paint the story accurate. Let's paint it. Anybody who might not know, David the king, he look out, he see this bad chick bathing on the roof. He see her naked, she on the roof bathing. Now I don't know why she would like uncover like she ain't had nothing,
yeah,
Maybe she wasn't expecting to be seen, or maybe he could, from his vantage point, he was like where she was, other people couldn't see her on the roof, but from his vantage point, he can see her. Whatever the case is, she was bad. She was tough. David said, "I got to have it.
yeah,
I got to have it." And then he put the finesse game on her.
yeah.
Now her husband was he wasn't even an Israelite. Her husband was what was he? I forget. But he
He
wasn't
was a
Israelite.
Hittite or something like that.
Something. He was a
Yeah.
soldier, right? But he was loyal. He was thorough, and so he was off to war, fighting on David's behalf. And David go finesse the woman, sleep with her. You know what I'm saying? She rocked. She and she was with it. Apparently,
Yeah.
he the king. Who gonna to the king? Like she and her husband going. He might be dead for all she know. It
Yeah.
ain't like they had text messages back then, right? So they have some time together. Boom, she pregnant. Which I always wonder how they knew when women was pregnant. Like what I'm saying, we so far removed because because back in the day, grandma could tell you when you was pregnant, if it was gonna be a boy or a girl, how you all this stuff. We so far removed from it. But anyway, just for the record, right? So David get this woman pregnant. When he found out he pregnant, he like, man, okay, I can't let this get out there. I just slept with another man's wife and got this girl pregnant. So he devised a plan. Hey man, call her husband, and get him, take him off the front line, let him go sleep with his wife, so she'll think it's his baby. But my man's so loyal, he like, nah, cause all my comrades on the front line, I'm gonna stay right here at the king's gate. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna go lay down and have conjugal visits with my wife while my brothers out there fighting. They can't be with their wives. He loyal to the soil, right? He wasn't even an Israelite. That's so cold. So that ruined David's plans. So David said, okay. I tell you, he called the captain. Hey man, listen, send him back out to the front line. When y'all get out there, have all the other soldiers fall back and leave him out there by himself. You know what I'm saying? And and the man died like that, right? All because he didn't want to admit that he could have committed adultery with another. Because he's the king and he's supposed to be a righteous king. He wasn't supposed to do that, right? So anyway, that's what happened with David, right? So going back to your point. All right, so.
I mean, you did exactly what the authors did. You know what I'm saying?
What I did? I ain't do it.
No.
No, I'm innocent. I'm innocent. I did not. I don't know what you did.
You did. You
See,
do.
we supposed to be brothers. It's a problem. We don't stick together. You all want to accuse a black man of doing something. I ain't did nothing the authors did. I don't even know Arthur. Who was Arthur?
That man is funny. Nah, like what the authors do, they explain things away.
What did I explain away?
You explain the story about David and why he slept, you know what I'm saying, with this woman, and then
I think
you pretty much gave it like
I think what you're saying is that I justified it.
yeah,
I didn't.
but you not really justifying it, but you're
I thought I was just making it practical. Just ran.
you're explaining the story based on because in reality, to be honest, it may not even happen like that. David may really just took took the brother wife. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But later on, authors like David was, since he was a good king.
So you saying he might just like great? We can't certainly we can't. You think like by force?
I
You think he
mean,
might
it
just
could
force
have
himself on the
been
woman?
or whatever. But at the end of the day, the authors they knew like, okay, it's a story. It's a story out there about how David. Hold on, let me. It's a story out there about how David took somebody's wife. So the authors was like, instead of this probably was a story that was going on, and then while they writing the stories about David, they was like, let's deal with that. Let's answer that. You know what I'm saying? Because that we know that's out there.
Who are these
So
mystery people? See, when people start saying that they probably this happened, they did this. Like, what you're saying?
I'm saying that because when you read Kings and when you read Chronicles, one of them is a shortened version that's letting you know like David was wrong, and then the other one is a longer version explaining it. You know how he actually
got down. I mean,
yeah, like it gives it like okay. It gives you a narrative like, okay, we understand it was wrong, but David, he did it, and God punished him. God took away the kid that was. It explains it to a point where it makes it like, okay, David was still a good king, and this is why God still punished him, and he but necessarily that may not even technically happen. They explained that well, that's why you have Kings and Chronicles, you know what I'm saying, of the same book, but one of them is longer elaborating about something, and the other one is like kind of like, nah, David was kind of wrong. He was kind of wrong.
No, he was wrong. Like, he wasn't kind of wrong to it. Like,
but it's like it gives you, but one of them gives you a narrative like, okay,
mosquito trying to get me, man.
Let's give, you know what I'm saying, let's make it more acceptable for the people so they can, because it may have been that story going around for years, you know what I'm saying? And then while the scribes was writing things down, they was like, let's.
You talking about the vein pens?
I mean,
nah, I miss a bit, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they.
What you saying? Like, but maybe could have been possibly. Maybe had a baby. We all be on welfare. So I'm saying.
But I'm only saying that because now all we have
is a biblical narrative.
Then that's kind of like. By default, it's like you would make us like we have to accept that, you know what I'm saying? And then when you find history that may say something a little different,
but there's no history that's to the contrary of that.
Well,
right?
it is. It's history.
To the contrary of what happened between David and was it Bathsheba? Was that Solomon mama?
It's history there. There's underlying history there.
But I'm saying it wouldn't give the detail. It wouldn't give any details that would contradict the story. It might not necessarily corroborate it, but it's not going to because it's history. Like it's not that you can't get the story from the bones.
No, I'm talking.
I'm talking
about just with the literature itself. You know
yeah. Okay.
Why is it explaining two same of the instance? You know what I'm saying?
But that's to your point, right? Because Chronicles had an intention behind it, right? They're writing these records for this purpose. The Kings is writing records for a different purpose. So they're focusing on different details. You know what I'm saying? So I think that answers that question. I'm just saying, but my point in saying that is that why would if they wanted to make David look like the perfect king and this great person, why put any of that in there? Why not just remove that?
That's very important.
That's the question. All right.
Because
I got a point.
Because that actually may have something that actually come from a true story, and they're trying to now.
What we saying made that could have been 100%.
Because it has to. Because think about
it is a true story.
Think about this. Why would that even be in the Bible?
You see, yeah, I got you on camera assaulting me. y'all see, you see, he getting mad. You know what I'm saying? Cause it looks soft on the camera, but he really digging his nail. He like I'm bruised. Like, I think I'm bleeding inside my chest. I'm bleeding.
That's crazy.
My liver.
But now this is when we get in a historical view. Okay. So now so why is that even in the book? If we know that David is a good king, then
Why
why
is
is
it
it
in
in
the
the
book?
book? Because it was maybe an actually real story.
It
That
was a
was
real
being.
story.
No, I'm saying, listen to what I'm saying. Or
Yeah.
maybe it's actually a real story that was being
They
talked around.
couldn't get rid of it
Exactly. So
because
now
it
they
was
got
already out there. So
now they got
they had to address it in
exactly
okay,
exactly.
okay, that could be the case, but what do you see? What have you come across to give you the idea that that's what happened? What is there to make you say, man, you know what? This could have been like this because like something had you have to have come across something that you read, saw
But-
something that would indicate or at least gives you know a reason to even go down that train of thought.
Yeah, the like we mentioned, the narratives about Kings and Chronicles. You know what I'm saying? Why is it both of them like there in that way? You know what I'm saying? So and then on top of that, when you do the history on David, you know what I'm saying? His kingdom wasn't as what we see it to be in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? And they did so much research on this and digging in these places that what that is, cuz.
Like a light bulb or something.
Hey, this sound.
Something like something pop. Okay, I don't know. We'll see. I'll find when something ain't working tomorrow. Y'all seen it on camera. The man that came to my studio and started tearing stuff up. Y'all, it's all recorded. See, this history gonna be different. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? This,
Hey,
yeah.
we in a time where
Yeah.
history can be
Yeah,
super duper recorded.
We getting all the details. You know what I'm saying?
But nah, do you get what I'm saying? I'm trying to say
Yeah,
because it's like you know, why was that story even there if it don't have any truth with it? You know what I'm saying? And
Well-
it's there to kind of explain it away.
Well,
or, you
I'm
know?
gonna tell you, this is what I understand.
Yeah.
Why that's the why we even include those details. Why? Because the kingdom went from David to Solomon. Who's Solomon's mother? Her. How did he get? So it's giving you the history from David to Solomon all the way down to Christ. So it didn't, you know, what I'm saying, it didn't go into the details and the history about the other one's mamas because David had a bunch of sons, right? Which was the son that tried to take over his kingdom? Absalom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Slept with all his concubines and everything else. But what you can tell me about his mama? Like it mentioned her.
Yeah, it does.
But you know what I'm
It
saying?
does.
But his dealing with her was more traditional. It wasn't that significant of the story. And Absalom wasn't the king that long, but he was. So it goes
And
into
he
detail.
may not
But
even probably existed. It
Who,
just
Absalom, his son?
It's
Why not?
Because you gotta understand, like some things was put in there to build to build a momentum. You know what I'm saying? To be like okay, I'm telling
you
you
losing
because
it, man. You losing
for example,
So
when
he
it comes
hit
to
me
when
again. Y'all
when
seen it, right? No, I'm just messing with
when
you.
it comes to Saul, all right, Saul. You know he is, according to the Bible, he's the first king.
Hey,
right?
you kind of look like what I saw. I think Saul looked like. I mean, I think he was a little taller, but you know, he was tall. You know what I'm saying? Head and shoulders, but he was taller than us. But you know, the dreads and all that. Anyway, but go ahead, go ahead.
I don't know what Saul look like.
I said, in my imagine, like, you know what I'm saying, without the dreads, y'all don't say dreads all down. You know what I'm saying?
Benjamin, you think because
Yeah.
But nah, man. See, it's like okay, like where did that come from? Like how? So you telling
He was
me
the first
so-
king of Israel.
But listen to what I'm about to say. So you telling me the first king of Israel come from the tribe of Benjamin, and then Benjamin lost his kingship, and it was given to Judah.
Yeah, that
Like,
what happened.
Yeah, that what we read. That what, know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
But like you,
That what happened. That's what the Bible said.
that what the
happened.
Bible say. That what the Bible say, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
Explaining how it went from Benjamin to Judah.
But it probably never went like that because we don't even get any.
But based on what I'm saying, you saying it probably never went like that. I'm
Yeah.
saying why or what is it that's giving you the
Because
indication that they probably didn't happen?
in archaeology, we don't find anything dealing with
Saul?
Saul and then him having that empire that we read in the biblical narrative.
What empire?
Him being the first king and running, you know what I'm saying?
But what was the empire here? Like okay, this maybe I'm missing something. What would you expect to find and what would you need to find to substantiate or to prove or to corroborate the story of Saul
Well,
according to the Bible?
it's certain details within Saul kingdom.
See that? Put that on the shirt right there.
Oh Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, if you love me, keep my command. That's what Christ said. That I know that that picture ain't, but that's what the
Yeah,
world associates. So
and yeah, you
yeah,
you
yeah.
doing
Yeah.
what described with the
hey,
So 1,000
it's
years from
over
now,
with. You got,
1,000 years from
hey,
now,
you,
they're gonna be
hey,
like,
you got me. Okay, you got me.
Nah.
You got me. All right. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Let's get back to the thing, man. Answer the question. Stick to the. Why you looking at that? They ain't got nothing to do with what we talking about. You got to focus, man. Focus on the audience
You
and telling
funny.
the people what you're saying. You worry about all this stuff back here.
But true indeed, it's details about Saw Kingdom. Okay, certain things about Saw Kingdom where we should be able to go into these archaeology places and and then be like, okay, you know what? Saul actually existed and had a kingdom
That's what I'm
that was
asking.
taken
What
away.
would you expect to excavate? Like you go to the area the
Yeah.
Bible said it was, and they start excavating. What do you what would you expect to find? What would we want to find to say that well this
I mean,
this does prove
relics, things that may have Saw a name on it, things that may show evidence of the kingdom of Benjamin being, the first kingship of Israel. You know what I'm saying? Those things are important and those things, if
and we talking about they haven't found it yet, but.
may not never find. But
Yeah,
I'm with you.
but you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying yet, though. You know what I'm
And
saying?
if it does be found, I'll be the first one to say Saul existed. I immediately, you know what I'm saying?
Because I can't help but think like this, right? I'm thinking like, okay, because everything you said about Saul, they said about every king and every person in the Bible. Where's the archaeological evidence for this person, for that person? Maybe not everything, but
Yeah.
it's, you know what I'm saying? And then eventually it pops up, and then they just move from the next person. Well, what about this person? And all I'm saying is, if the Bible say, let's just say the Bible lists 100 events that took place. And we done found 73 of them. At what point do we have to say, man, look, man, this all must be true? Because we didn't have no evidence, but we said this might not have happened, then we found out that happened. We said this, and we at 73 out of 100 so far.
It'd be oblivious for us to just think that way though, bro. To be like, it's all is true. When you know what I'm saying, if we searching for certain things for decades and decades and decades and decades, and then we do come across things that is revealed and be like, you know what, it is a house of David. It is a house of Israel. You know what I'm saying? We finding these things that corroborates that from other nations, you know what I'm saying, and things like that, and then finding things within the land of Canaan itself. You know what I'm saying? So, but even if we never find anything about Saul and things like that, it does question certain things to be like, okay, then where is this Benjamite
Bricks, I'm saying, but bricks don't last forever. You know what I'm saying? Like,
shoot, you'd be surprised.
no, they last a long time. I'm not saying that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I just use bricks. I'm just saying though, things don't last forever, and we might not ever find it. You know what I'm saying? It might have got trampled down. It might have got destroyed, rebuilt, used, repurposed. Some stuff we find, some stuff we don't find.
Now,
and I'm just
I
saying,
get what
like,
you're saying.
like, you know, like why is this? Like, why are we expecting everything to be discovered?
Because we
historically, everything. Like some stuff might not.
Expectations is already high. You know what I'm saying? And then
so okay, right, okay. So look, so when I'm like it's certain things that the Bible talks about that is written in no other history, and people say, well, where's this? And they find it, right? And like I'm not talking about. I'm talking about certain things. Like let's go back to Noah's Ark. This great flood. People say that's crazy. That story is crazy. And then people say, well, it wasn't a worldwide flood. It was just the known world or the area they was at. But then it's like, when you go into the details, they tell you cover the tops of every mountain. So you can't have no local flood if it's covering the tops of mountains. But nonetheless, did this really happen or not? Right? And it's a fantastic story. My mom said, that's a fantastic story. So, but then the Bible tells you the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. And then Noah, after the flood went down, the first thing he planted was a vineyard. And he got some grapes, he made him some wine. He got drunk, and his son saw him naked and disrespected him, and he put a curse on Canaan, or Canaan, right? Ham's son. No.
Yeah, he put a son.
Yeah, Ham's son. Not Ham. He didn't curse Ham, he cursed his son. So then you fast forward And going back to my man's Ron White, because he made his life mission do that. He was like a regular dude. He didn't have no background and all this stuff. He just took the money he had and started trying to prove the Bible. And so he goes to the mountains of Ararat to look for the ark, like the Bible said, because if the Bible's true, we should find some evidence of this ark on the mountains of Ararat. And sure enough, he finds the ark on the mountains of Ararat. And then, like I'm saying, it's agenda, because then they came out and they dismissed it. Everything he did, they said was all false. The Red Sea crossing, you know, the Mount the sign, the Mount Sinai, in Saudi Arabia. They said, you know, and then the Noah's Ark. But lo and behold, he finds it where the Bible said it was, and that area is known for vineyards and grapes, ironically, or not. All right, and they deny it, and then people go back recently in recent years, and I posted this all over my Facebook. But they go back and they've been inside of it now. They taking people that snuck in there, took pictures. It's frozen on the side of a mountain. It slid down the mountain. They got an area view. They've done the sonar. They found the wood, the rivets, like details that the Bible describes about the ark. They've taken pictures and found it's there. It's the ark, and people are still saying no, that's not the ark. No.
Yeah.
Right? But when you find something like that, and the Bible gave that detail, so it's like the details of that, right? Why is that not enough?
This ain't just a broadcast. This is family right here. Laugh. Learn and be encouraged. Let go of all the fear. Bold faith.